Evie Marshall pulled her car into the parking area next to Clan Stonefire's main gate and willed her stomach to settle. Sure, she was nervous, but it wasn't because of the dragon shifters flying overhead or the glares she knew she'd face once she stepped onto their land. She'd worked the last 7 years with the Department of Dragon Affairs down in London, and visiting a dragon clan's land wasn't anything new. Yeah, right. Who was she kidding? Today was different from her other visits. She was here to seduce a dragon shifter, and not just any dragon shifter, but Stonefire's clan leader, Bram Moore-Llewellyn. That was her goal anyway. Whether she'd succeed or not was yet to be seen. Her heart skipped a beat at the thought of failure. If she couldn't convince Bram to allow her to stay with the dragon shifters, then the dragon hunters would kidnap her, and maybe even kill her. Their warning last week had been clear. Stop working for the Department of Dragon Affairs and join them, or be hunted down as if she were a dragon herself. So she'd do whatever it took to seduce Bram and earn a place in his clan. Focus, Evie. Right. After giving her hair one last smooth and plumping up her slightly too small breasts, Evie grabbed her duffel bag and exited the car. As she closed the distance between her car and the front entrance, it took everything she had not to stumble or twist her ankle on the uneven gravel. She'd worn heels maybe 10 times in her life, and despite the hours of practice she'd done over the last week, she wobbled more than strutted with each step. Shit. Things weren't off to the greatest of starts. Careful to walk slowly and not fall on her ass, she headed toward the stone structure about 20 feet away, which served as the clan's security checkpoint. Since employees from the Department of Dragon Affairs weren't allowed to drive onto Stonefire's land, Evie went to the smaller entrance and called out. Hello? Soon a tall man with light blonde hair and the ever-impressive thick twining dragon shifter tattoo on his muscled arm approached. She might have worked with the dragon shifters for years, but her heart rate always kicked up when she saw one. They must have some kind of special gene which made them all gorgeous. The blonde-haired dragon man's voice interrupted her thoughts. Miss Evie Marshall with the Department of Dragon Affairs? Careful to keep her face calm and collected, despite the butterflies banging around in her stomach, she nodded and handed over her identification papers. Yes, I'm here to do my post-birth interview with Melanie Hall and to further investigate the death of Catriona Belmont. My office should have made all the arrangements for my 3-day visit. Only when he nodded and held out the papers for her to take back did she let out a mental sigh of relief. He must believe she was merely here for an inspection. She retrieved her papers, and then he turned and motioned to another guard a few feet away. Dacian over there is your assigned guard for the duration of your visit, and he'll take you to see Bram. At Bram, the clan leader's name, her heart gave a few extra hard thumps inside her chest. In less than half an hour, she would finally meet the man who would determine her future. Thank you, she said, and smiled over at the dark-skinned man named Dacian. And damn, the defined muscles peeking out from his shirt combined with the striking planes of his face only confirmed her theory of the secret dragon shifter hotness gene. Her chances of Bram being less attractive so she could focus were looking slimmer by the minute. Without so much as a word, he turned around and headed down the worn dirt path. Stonefire's reputation about being friendlier with humans than Skyhunter wasn't looking good so far. She bloody well hoped Bram was nicer than Skyhunter's leader, Marcus, or she would most definitely have her work cut out for her. Since Dacian was already several feet ahead of her, Evie tried her best to both walk quickly and sway her hips in what she hoped was a seductive manner. Her 2-inch heels were less than ideal for a lengthy walk to the main living area, but first impressions were important. She would gladly risk sore feet if it meant Stonefire's leader would take notice of her. Of course, her feet were the least of her problems. Evie had sacrificed a social life, hobbies, and even love to earn a place with the DDA. But those sacrifices now paled in comparison to the task that lay before her. In order to stay alive, she would have to give up not only her body, but also her freedom and her future.